I just want to make a video about this psychopath that has been contacting me. I don't know, over the last 3 years, I guess I've had quite a lot of prank phone calls. You know, I was doing massage, so I was seeing a lot of people, and occasionally there'd be people that just call up and you can just hear wanking on the phone. And that kind of happened quite a lot, but I always just put the phone down and try to ignore it. And I never knew who it was, but I know that it happened, but I couldn't really blame it on one person because I felt like some people, it could have been anyone. You know, there's a long list of people that could have been, and I'm not even saying now that I'm still convinced that it's the same person, but there has been a couple of these weird calls, or just breathing down the phone or something. I mean, just small things, but it hasn't happened much over like the winter or anything. And I don't know, there was one person who called up, said, I just want to be your friend, you know, I'm a client, you will remember me when you see me, because I don't really remember much, but and we were going to go for a restaurant, and he seemed pretty decent, and I didn't have much to do, and he wanted a friend, so I kind of said okay, and then he didn't come the next day, so I was just like, okay, I need to be careful, because some people are obviously making promises that they aren't fulfilling, and I don't know, but there's another time where someone called and said that they just want to talk and stuff, and then they started talking about my mum and then talking about sexual things, and I was just like, I put the phone down, this is some weirdo. And then I've had people call me in the middle of the night at 3 in the morning. I think this is fine. I think my ad was still up somewhat. I've had about 3 ads up, and I've taken the main one that always got responses, but there was 1 or 2 up on different sites that didn't get that many hits, but I took them down just because I didn't know, like, they could have been from anyone, you know, but I haven't had any clients for over a year, except for Roger, who about a year ago, but yeah, I haven't had anyone for about a year and a quarter now, a year and 4 months, but I think I stopped as soon as I lost Leo, so there was no point of working from that point, because I was saving up money to pay for that child, and then when I didn't get him, there didn't seem any point to work, so I stopped. But yeah, the prank phone calls kept coming. Like, one of them, I swear, sounds like an old guy who's calling me a lot. It sounds like different people, though. That's the thing. There's one person who's called me probably about 10 times last year, and even this year, calling me up, just assuming that I'm still working. Oh, are you working now? Are you working now? And it's just mild. But then I've had other ones that, and I always thought that they were different people because they kind of sound slightly different, or different things happen. But yeah, because I haven't worked in such a long time, I'm just thinking that this is all the same person, and it made me think that was also one of the reasons why I took all my Facebook friends down, because I was thinking maybe I've got some stalkers on there, and so I took them all down and to see who added me, and yeah, there was there was 2 people that added me and seemed quite genuine, and there was one person who added me and was just like, why did you take me off? And I was like, well, I'm trying to see who's reading my posts. And well, if you were reading my posts, you wouldn't be asking me this question, because you would be reading my posts. So clearly you are not reading my posts. Hence why I said that there was like 2, 3, or perhaps even maybe 4. I think one of them added and then took me off again. So I don't know who that was. But yeah, this one was always one that I was like, does he believe? Does he not believe? You know, and then James rung on a phone on my WhatsApp call, contacted me and saying that he sent me an email. So I know that account belonged to this one. I don't think I even knew his name really until like July, until I saw he had a Facebook page. That's when I realised that who he was, because he'd contacted me on a number. But yeah, I think he's got quite a lot of numbers, because this other number that called me 19 times, I put it on silent after the first 2 or 3 calls. Someone called me, but I've saved his number as someone who just wants to wank, so I'm assuming that one of the calls where someone was just wanking on the phone, that was someone who did that, so I named it as that. And I don't know, because I've had a lot of calls over the last few years, but anyway, yeah, I'm trying to have this talk because I'm convinced now he's a complete psychopath. You know, whoever called me up and was just like, he was very serious, you know. So, oh yeah, I've got some people who work for Big Brother and in Australia, and you seem very genuine, very very charismatic, and just that trap film that I watched where they were profiling him. It wasn't just friends; it was you know, charismatic, someone who believes that he's above us, you know, he's going to be very calm, he's not going to be panicked, and you know, just thinking about all those things. And I was trying to think about who wrote this. You know, someone tried to convince me that this was real for like 25 minutes, which was a long time, And then I screamed at him like for about 20 minutes. And then half an hour later, I said, you know what, this guy, I think this is the same person that's just been calling me over and over again. And I kind of said to myself, I'm just going to call him up every half an hour to just scream at him, and I'm just going to keep doing it for the next, you know, I've got his number. I'm going to keep, if he wants to keep pestering me all the time, then I'm going to start pestering him. So I started threatening that I was going to call him up every half an hour to just scream at him and tell him that I wish he was dead and stuff. And yeah, it was very, very, very violent. It wasn't just I lost my voice for a couple of days before. But anyway, it happened just as I was filming that song that I was trying to write about how crazy people are crazy. But yes, that disturbed. I was happy in that making that song, and then he called me, and then he just ruined my vibe for a couple of hours, and then I went back to the song to try and finish it. But yeah, he's. I was trying to think who he is, and then I've noticed that this James guy who told me that he's James because he sent an email reminding me that this is him, and yeah, I realised that his Facebook profile, there's nothing on it. There's no friends or anything. So he's created this Facebook page just for me. I mean, I didn't think that was such a, you know, if he's a doctor, he probably doesn't go on Facebook. He probably doesn't have a Facebook page. If he's maybe created the Facebook page to find out more about me because I told him to do something like this, you know, fine. But yeah, I don't think that's the truth. I think that he's, you know, when he came to me like 5 or 6 times over the period of a long, you know, it wasn't that often, but yeah, he always tried to make out that he was like a doctor and that he's working in surgery, and if ever he booked and couldn't make it, he was always like, oh, someone's come in, a casualty's come in, and I have to work the extra hours, and it kind of sounded believable, because why would it not be believable? You know, if you tell someone, why would it not be believable? But people who think that they know who God is and are certain that God is like this, you know, God knows me, God knows he knows what my job is, what my thing is. You know, that some people who believe in God believe that God knows everything about them, and then they'll say that this woman's claiming to be God, but she knows nothing about me. I've been telling her that I'm a doctor for the last 2-3 years, and she's believed it. So that's proof that I'm not God, and therefore anything that I write on my Facebook, any YouTube video that I make, you know, he's trying to pretend that he believes that I'm God. And then he makes a comment about, can I be your first disciple? Look, you said that you believe that I'm God, and you said that you know that I've believed this for 11 years and that I've got thousands of people. I've told you all this in person and on my conversations that I've had with him on WhatsApp, and maybe there's a couple of other people that are all the same person just with different numbers, and you know, I've told him this, and what, you want to be my first disciple? So you think that I have no disciple or no followers or no helpers? I know no one's talking to me, but this is part of this curse that they've put on me by ignoring me, and just small things like this, you know. I help you. I'll help you. I'll agree with you. I can be your first disciple. What do you want me to do? I'll do anything for you. And then to be like, yeah, well, if you really thought that I had lots of people helping me. And then he sort of said, oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein, definitely, that was another one, I didn't add that to there, but he said Harvey Weinstein is definitely doing this behind this. And it was just like, I don't know, I have no idea. I mean, he was supposed to be in prison, wasn't he, or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's just basically just picking up on the one person who he might think that I would think that he's. I don't know the story. I don't know if he's a paedophile. I don't know if these women were just exaggerating, or if it's true, or I don't know the circumstance, so I'm not talking about that. But for him to assume that I think that Harvey Weinstein has something to do with it just because he's a rapist or something, he's been known to that, just to assume things like that, whilst it being like, I don't know if Harvey Weinstein's got anything to do with this. I'm saying that the producers and the filmmakers and all this. I'm not talking about one individual. I'm just small things. It's really small things, and the idea of making a joke. I said that Mark Zuckerberg was Albert Einstein, and then his response a few hours later was the only thing that these 3 random people have in common, they only wear the same clothes every day, which is not true. None of them wear the ssame clothes every day, and okay, he added the third person in there, but I know what that joke was about. That joke was about saying how Mark Zuckerberg and Albert Einstein have absolutely nothing in common. absolutely nothing in common other than they're both dirty and wear the same clothes every day. I mean, that's what the comment was, and that was kind of annoying because it was like, this guy's supposed to be a doctor. This guy said that he was going to get me a brain scan to work out how I'm able to do something very serious. You know, my life has been fucked up because of this time traveling that I'm doing and this inspiring, and I really need a brain scan because I was wondering if there was something wrong in my brain, or if what I was doing was actually causing me strokes or stuff like that. And then so to think that he was just he's pretending to help me. He said this was going to happen last summer and he didn't. So I kind of assumed that, okay, he probably doesn't believe. If he does believe, he would have taken it more seriously. But then again, my timing with stuff is a bit off. So maybe he actually offered this a couple of months ago. I don't know. I'm sure it was last summer, but my memory is going a bit time warped and stuff. And then to just have people take the piss and to pretend that they can help you whilst in their mind just being like, this girl thinks I'm a doctor, of course she can't be God. You know, I can just imagine that. What's he like? That's what he would be like. He looks like G-Eazy, very, you know, slender, and you know, he thinks that he's all that, you know. He does definitely told me that he's made loads of offers to want to just wank for a whole hour. I mean, I think that's actually disturbing. I looked on Google, is that normal to want to wank for a whole hour? I don't think that's normal. Google said that was normal. It's normal behaviour to wank for a whole hour. No, it's not. I think that's insane. I mean, yeah, 10 minutes, have the orgasm, 15 minutes, if you're a bit slower. But yeah, I've always thought that there was something wrong with people that want to wank for more than 10 or 15 minutes. You know, I allowed people to finish, but I would always get aggravated or angry after 10 minutes because it was like, yeah, I don't really want you to do this. This is just the part that I'm just going to blank out as soon as you walk out of the room. You know, I don't mind people doing it because I do just blank it out as soon as they leave. It means nothing to me. But yeah, it's annoying when you've got weird people who think that I'm enjoying it. You know, you can clearly see that I'm not enjoying it because I'm just like, can you leave now? Can you leave? After happy 2-3 minutes. Most people are only like 4 or 5 minutes, maybe less actually. Most people would do it within about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm completely fine with that because I don't notice it. It makes a big difference to their session, and I don't mind. You know, it's healthy. It's a healthy thing to do massage, and therefore if I'm telling off some clients that I've had for wanking, you know, I'm not actually angry at that because I do blank it out. I'm angry at the people that just take the piss, or one even took some sort of pill that would make him not do it, because he wanted to wank for a much longer period, because he usually wanked within like a minute or two, and then he wanted to do it longer, and he ended up taking the pill, and he ended up not being able to do it because of, but yeah, that's just, it's not a nice part of it, but if it's only going to be short, then it's fine. But he knew that I didn't like it, and then to say all the things that he was saying, oh, you love it, you're a whore, I know you sell, I know you're a prostitute and you've sold sex. I'm just like, who the hell is this? You know, who the hell is this? And I wouldn't have thought that I would link it to this guy who's been pretending to be a doctor, but this guy who's been pretending to be a doctor is about the only person other than the one person that I like that I did dog walking. He's written to me on Facebook once or twice, but I like him. He's definitely not a stalker. But yeah, this guy is one of the only few people who's still contacting me, and it's just like, well, there's some stalker that's contacting me and thinks he's my friend because I yelled at him massively. Oh, I only want to be your friend. What the fuck? Why are you saying this? And it's just like, oh, if you're that guy, well, that would explain why you think you're my friend, because this guy probably thinks that he's my friend because he's told me stuff about how he's going to help me get a brain surgery, how he's going to help me get a brain scan, and he's willing to do anything to, you know, help promote my religion. Then he starts saying things about, you know, that video that I made about 15-minute interviews. You know, when I'm saying I want you to spill out all your dirt, you know, clearly I'm saying that I want you to just insult me and say that I can't be God and give me all the reasons, and then I'm going to use it in the future if you try and turn and say, oh no, I was supporting her, I was only, you know, I wasn't actually against her, you know, I'd be like, well, this is evidence that you weren't, you know, on my side. You know, there's loads of religious people who think that they're helping God, and they would say, you know, oh, I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this for God, and okay, part of it is helping me because I want to promote this false religion so that you know, there's a lot of people that I think are lying about being a Christian, so that this rapture happens and people go off to heaven, and that is helping me because I want to reduce the population, so it is helping me, but at the same time, these people are going to stop. The people that generally believe what they believe right now and would refuse to help me because they would have absolutely no ability of believing that I'm Christ or God. You know, there's a whole bunch of these people, millions of these people that think they're doing things for God when I am God, and they would not help me. The reason why I'm in a prison is because I'm surrounded by people that just don't care, and I don't know who to go to, because I think, what's the point of telling them anything? They don't care. They won't believe. They'll be like this James guy who's known everything, had an opportunity to read all my posts, and yet the only thing he can think is, this girl thinks that I'm a doctor and I'm obviously not, so she's obviously not God, because that is the only thing that is running through his head, and himself, and just his need for a wank, an hour-long wank, which is ridiculous, because I'm pretty sure people who wank for an hour, I think you need to change that. Whoever wrote that comment about it being okay to wank for an hour, you need to change it. It's okay to wank for 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you're getting older and struggling, but if you're wanking for an hour in a row, you know, there's some mental problem with you, and I feel like you need to change that. Unless, of course, you want to lie and be, yeah, it's perfectly fine to wank for hours at a time. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Not many people. I've had loads and loads of clients, and not many people want to wank for an hour, for a whole hour. This was the only person, actually, that wanted to wank throughout the whole. Well, maybe there was one or other. There might have been 2 or 3 others, but they disappeared. But yeah, this one wanted to wank for the whole session. I was like, oh, I'll give you £200 just for the wank for the whole session. And then afterwards, I'd say, no, I don't want to do that. And then afterwards, they'd be like, okay, I'll just have a normal session. And then you'd start trying for more, and I was like, no, stop. And it's just really, really frustrating. And to think that these people actually think that I'm enjoying it. That's what they do. They tell themselves, this woman clearly isn't enjoying it, but I'm mentally ill, so I'm going to tell myself that she is enjoying this, just so that I can continue doing it and not care. And these people are psychotic. And, you know, I tried to just, if he was a doctor, it doesn't matter. He looked like a doctor. He dressed it like, he acted like one, and it just. But yeah, whoever made that phone call about that thing with that Big Brother show in Australia. You know, that was someone who had absolutely no problem with lying to me, no problem with just saying whatever he wanted, had no respect for me either, and you know, asking me questions. So adding lots of hints about, so it's going to be a house full of crazy people, and there's going to be swingers there, you know, how would you like it if there were people there having sex on a table? I wouldn't really want to get involved in this. You know what, I think you should go and get AJ Miller, but yeah, don't go for the what the fuck are you? You know, mentally ill, fuck's sake. I mean, I did pick up on lots of little things, but then he would start saying normal questions, and then you would just think that he's normal, and you try and blank out. If you're talking to someone who's mentally ill, and they start saying mentally ill things that are obviously mentally ill, but then you start tweaking on it and recognizing that this is odd, and then they start going back to being normal. It's so easy to just try and blank out the crazy things that they say, and then you just focus on the sane things, because you want to believe that they're sane. You want to believe that this isn't someone just lying to your face. And then so I'm analysing a psychopath, basically. You know, there's a lot of things. I watched a video where a Christian said that you only remember, if you're having a conversation with people, you only seem to remember a certain portion of that conversation, because a lot of it kind of is hard to remember everything. And I think that's the thing. When you're talking to mentally ill people, a lot of things they say seem okay, and you try and focus on the okay things. And then afterwards, you're kind of like picking up on the subtle hints, you know. And, you know, that video that I made about the interviews, me wanting 15-minute interviews, that video is solely to be made so that I can, in a year's or 2, 3 time, you know, if these people are going around claiming that they were helping me, that they did all those videos because they were just pretending to be a Christian and they were helping me reduce the population, you know, if they start lying and changing, you know, their thoughts on why they did what they did, you know, I would actually have a video that would be like, no, actually, you didn't do that because you thought you were helping me. This is you talking to me, and this is you actually insulting me and telling me that my belief is not the truth. You know, it's like with the Lion channel and the Rapture channel. There's the Lion of Judah channel and the Rapture of support. There's quite a lot of them. The Grace and stuff. Like, I don't know if these people actually know about me or if they're just creating some sort of false channel. to encourage Christianity, because Christianity is going to hurt a lot of people because people are worshipping the Antichrist. So, if you know that Christianity is a religion all formed by God the Father to promote the Antichrist, to help people get into heaven, and you're doing it because you know that overpopulation is a really big problem and something needs to be done to get people into heaven, if you're doing that and then fine. But if you know, you're also going to realize that I am the real Christ. Hence, you're not going to be having a video chat with me where you insult me and say that I can't be God because I don't know if what they do is they're, if I can't tell if they're lying or not. That doesn't mean that I'm not God. It just means that I want to believe that what they're saying is the truth. It does not mean that I'm not God, and therefore, if you're going to start lying to me, maybe I should have an interview with this guy. I'm God, so why do you think it's okay to start asking me, to want to wank, for you to come to my house to want to wank in front of me? I mean, would you go to a church and start wanking in front of the nurses there or the preachers? And he's a psychopath, so he'd probably say yes to that, but to think that there's all these people going into church completely respecting God, and yet God is actually here, and yet I have people like this who know that I'm God, believe or say that they believe that I'm God, when really they just want to come to my house to wank for an hour. I mean, he's obviously got some sort of mental addiction, but yeah, doctors can have mental problems. I know there's Kanye West's tooth person is supposed to be the person who fixed his teeth. He's supposed to have some problems. There's a lot of doctors that have mental ill problems. In fact, mentally ill doctors or people that work for mentally ill patients, a lot of them have mental illness problems. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of doctors have a lot of sex addictions, because sex addiction is a part of a normal addiction that people have, and doctors can be normal people too. So him wanting to wank for an hour did not mean that he's not a doctor. But yeah, him just lying and saying that, yeah, he can help me work out why I'm time traveling, when really he was just, I don't know, enjoying lying to me, enjoying giving me false hope, enjoying just everything. I don't know what he was enjoying. I don't understand him. Boy shit is a good, but yes, I've got to go to Winterbourne. I'm going somewhere. Actually, I shouldn't say it because I don't want a stalker to show up there.